I was able to go from 2 million a year to more than 10 million a year. Every single one of my brothers followed the exact same path. All of them also became millionaires as well. Business where I have found the most success, and I got everyone that I love, my family members, into starting that.
So I want to pick your brain, and let's imagine your best friend is watching, and by the end of the show, he needs to have a clear blueprint to making his first million. I've always focused on is the messaging.
Change in offer is everything.
But what is the fastest way for someone, and the best business model for someone who's looking to make $1 million?
The best business model is...
Abdul, my dear friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, man. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, so good to be here.
Thanks. So as we always start, what does freedom mean to you?
Being able to wake up without an alarm clock, that is freedom. But really, I think, just having the opportunity to do whatever you want. And also freedom is that, like, when you put in work towards something, you also get to reap the benefit of that as well. Like, coming from Canada, I saw how like freedom got eroded over time. Even though I had my own business, I had I was able to wake up whenever I wanted, right? Like being able to wake up without a alarm clock because I didn't have a boss. But then there's another level of freedom that I saw being taken away slowly by taxation. And, you work so hard towards something, and then you see that, hey, 50% of it is being taken by the man. And then another 12% or so for goods and services tax as well. And you're like, hey, is this freedom? So yeah, that's why good to be here in Dubai with you.
Yeah. Dubai is definitely the place. Now, look, you've made over 100 million in sales, which not many people reach that level. You're the 1% of the 1%, as we said before. What I want to do today is this. I know that a lot of people watching this, let's be realistic, not most people are going to make $100 million, right? But with today, what we have access to the knowledge, technology, making $1 million, I'm not going to say it's easy. I'd say it's easier. So I want to pick your brain, and let's treat, let's imagine your best friend is watching, and by the end of the show, he needs to have a clear blueprint to making his first million. And by your best friend, I mean our audience, all right? So we're going to dive into a lot of that. But first, I want to start with your upbringing, because I'm always curious. It's easy to see where you are today, but I want to see what led there, right? So if you had to picture your childhood as a movie, what would the title be and why?
Once someone said to me that they introduced me to like a room, and they said, Abdul's that guy, you drop him in the middle of Mumbai, you strip him of all his clothes and all his money, and you see him after a year, he'll be a millionaire again. So you can say, butt naked Mumbai millionaire.
That's an interesting title. I'm not sure how many people would go see it, but it's an interesting title.
You gotta get attention somehow.
It will get attention for sure.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Probably not that, but it would be something along the lines of that Mumbai, like that movie Mr. Figure It Outable or something, right? A guy who just, or Grit. But yeah, I get what you mean. And that's... There is already a movie about that guy, the Mumbai guy, who's like a nobody, and then he's
like Slumdog Millionaire?
Slumdog Millionaire.
There you go.
It would be something along those lines.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So that's a good title. Now, you started as your career as an investment banker. Yeah. Right. And I would say for most people that would be a pretty illustrious or pretty cool a gig to have. Yeah. But what happened, and why were you why did you shift from corporate world to the entrepreneurship world?
Yeah. I listened to my parents, first generation immigrants from Pakistan. Came to Canada, studied really hard, got good grades, Might have failed organic chem along the way, filled out the whole midterm, got 0%. But, changed my majors into business. My parents before wanted me to become a pharmacist, work out of a shoebox. That's what pharmacists do, really. But then I got into business. Finally, after getting all the good grades, got the best job I could have gotten from graduating with a finance degree. And right away, I realized, okay, I got one of the few 100K 6-figure jobs available for like a new graduate, fresh new graduate. And after I got my first paycheck, I saw the amount that I got taxed. And I was like, whoa, like, okay, it's about, after tax and everything, I made just over like $5,000 that month. And I'm like, okay, with this money, I'm also the eldest from my family. My parents, mashallah, had 6 kids, big family, and 5 boys, 1 girl, and I'm the eldest, right? I'm the prodigal son that's supposed to like provide and help out. And I'm like left with 5K after taxes. Then I, like gave that money towards my parents. And I saw, okay, after rent, after car expenses, after some of the debt that my parents had as well, there wasn't much to help out. There wasn't much left for me, or even like to be able to save some money to get married, I had someone in mind. I wanted to get married as well. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to save for a Desi wedding. And so I realized, okay, like I'm working. And as an investment banker, it's not like a regular job where you're working 8-hour shifts and you clock out. You're putting in 12-hour days, most of the time 6 days a week. So I'm putting in 60-hour work weeks and
no overtime as well.
No overtime.
Just your...
Yeah. And I realized, okay, I'm working like a, keyboard monkey, and I have to I have barely any time, and then I'm transiting back home because I have to go to downtown to work, and then I come back. After all of that, I barely have I'm like all like exhausted. I don't have anything in the tank for my family, for quality time, for anything. And so I'm like, okay, I don't have any time. I don't have any energy, and I barely have any money left over. So I need to do something else. A lot of people, they take like 5 to 10 years to get to 6-figure level in their career. And then they see, okay, 6 figures wasn't what you thought it was. For me, it happened right away. And that's when I was like, you know what, like I'm going to do something where I would have some money left over. I would have some time left over. And I started like filling out an Excel spreadsheet of all these different business ideas. And I got to over like 100 different business ideas.
Yeah.
Until I watched a YouTube video. And where this guy was saying, hey, you know what? I'm living on the beach, like very Frank Kern type of vibe. And I'm living on the beach. I'm doing like $30,000 a month. I'm having this in-person event in San Diego. And so I'm like, okay, this guy seems to be doing what I would love to be doing as well. And with my last money saved over, I bought my flights to San Diego, paid the $500, paid for my flights, stayed at a $20 a night hostel.
Been there, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, let's learn about online marketing.
Now, I can see a lot of people being in your position, right? So they went to school, they got the degree, they got the job, and they realized, hey, this is not the promise that was made to me. In other words, their lifestyle, the lifestyle they envision, and the lifestyle that they can afford, there's a massive misalignment. I've also seen people who then start to ponder, what can I do next, right? Most people just accept it, actually. It's like, oh, I've already gone through this, and I don't see there's anything else. So I studied to become a lawyer, so I must be a lawyer. I studied to become a banker, though. Now I got to be a banker. My father was a banker. He worked till he's 75. So this, as much as I hate it, this is what I'm gonna do. Very few have like a different mindset. Say maybe there's something better. You did that. But then even most of those who do that, like they'll create probably the list, and they'll probably have 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 different business ideas. But here's where the separation kicks in. Those who actually execute versus those who don't. Because there's a lot of people that could have said, oh, this guy's full of shit. He's probably not making any money. I'm not going to pay $500 to go in a hostel hotel and learn from this guy. And then they never take the risk. So where did you develop the ability to like suspend the disbelief and just go all in? And how did that work out for you?
I wish it was all just my own intuition, because it was kind of forced on me as well.
Yeah.
So while I was working, I was like not loving the gig because I was barely left with anything. I started an e-commerce first, like while I was working 12 hours a day. On the side, I started an e-commerce hustle. And that failed because I realized with e-commerce, like you spend all this money towards inventory. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, now what do I do next? You need money for marketing too. So that's why I got into marketing later on. Turns out it's one of the most important things you can learn. But what happened is after I failed in the e-commerce store, they called me just one random morning into the boardroom. And I got to the boardroom and the HR lady was there. I'm like, oh snap, something is going down. And she said, basically, the economy is not doing too well. We're going to have to lay you off. And I was like, what? I spent all this years getting my degree, and I'm here working 12-hour days. I'm working hard. Yeah, I'm like trying stuff on the side, but like she doesn't know that. And she was like, hey, economy's bad. We're like laying off like a good chunk of the staff, you being one of them as well. And, my whole world shifted. And I remember walking out of the office and in downtown Vancouver. And I was just like, tears were coming out of my eyes. I'm a grown man. I'm like, why am I crying? And I was just, at that moment, something flipped in my head. And I flipped the switch and I said, you know what, from this point forward, I spent so much time towards my degree. Yeah, I have $50,000 in student loans. Yeah, my parents are counting on me. I have my younger brothers counting on their big brother to make it out in the world. I'm not going to rely on anyone else for my income. And that's when I made that decision. And I've kept that promise to myself to this day. That I know since that day, my income has been dependent on me. It hasn't been dependent on the man. Hasn't been dependent on like a boss or whatever. And so I was kind of like forced into it. They give you some compensation benefit as well. So I had some money set aside as well, which went away very quickly because I wasn't your typical like 20-year-old something kid. I was also supporting a family of 7, helping out my parents. So my mom then gave me a timeline. I said, hey, Mom, like I need like some time. Just give me some time. She's like, okay, you have this many months. After that, you have to go get a job. Because I was asking for time for my freedom. I'm like, hey, give me a few months. I'm going to set up my own business. And she's like, okay, you have like 6 months. I think it was less. I think it was like 3 months. She's like, you have 3 months. Go do something. But if you don't, you go back to your 9 to 5. And so I had a, like gun to my head, urgency. And I like, money loves speed. Money loves urgency. And anything you do in any project, put a timeline on it, put urgency on it. Like Elon Musk, you look at all his projects, they're promised like very early on, even though he knows it's going to take 5 years, he puts like a 1 year, goal to it. And I think with any personal project, you should do the exact same thing. So I got that gun to my head type of attitude. And I knew, hey, I need to figure something out.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that not for myself, but like my brothers as well. Today, they're like every single one of my brothers followed the exact same path that I did. And all of them also became millionaires as well.
Amazing. Amazing. I took my boys to an MMA fight a few days ago. I invited you to, but you couldn't make it. And it was fascinating. It was my first. It was our first. And after the fight, I was talking to what do you guys think? And I'm like, what did you think when the guys were in the ring? And they were like, these guys are tough, and they were determined, and they were focused. I'm like, do you think any of them came in the ring 80%? Thinking today I'm just going to give 80%. And you've got another guy looking at you, looking to kill you, right? They're like, no. I'm like, what would have happened if that was the case? They're like, yeah, it would have got knocked out. But just me watching it live, the intensity, the focus, right? So what I told my boys is like, imagine if you took that level of focus and determination into everything you did in your life. Imagine if you showed up to work as if with that level of sense of urgency, like you need to make it through this. You need to make this work. Otherwise, your life is on the line, right? I know it's hard to grasp, but life put you in a similar situation.
Yeah.
And you were forced. But there are a lot of people, when that happens to them, they develop like the victim mentality, right? Oh, I've worked so hard, 10 years of school and education. Now I got laid off. It wasn't worth it. I'll become a manager at a department store. So for you use that as the day you turn your life around, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people don't understand entrepreneurship. It's not what you see. I mean, even though you saw the guy on the island, right? And it looked great and he was at the beach. But I'm sure when you started, being an entrepreneur is just having a lot of moments, maybe not as bad, but you might have employee issues. You might have cash flow issues. You might make $1 million, but now the merchant is holding on to your account. But it's a constant challenge, and you're constantly figuring out a solution, right? And so, do you need a special mindset?
Yeah.
To have that, or is this just something that anybody can develop over time?
I think anyone can develop it. I think you need to have conviction in your own abilities, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of, like, when you're making promises to someone else, when I was making that promise to my mom that, hey, mom, give me some time and I'll do it. I needed to first believe in myself. And then my mom saw that conviction in my eyes. And then she was like, okay, son, the whole family's just like on standby because of you. We put you through school all these years, and it's not been easy. Like, my mom had to, like, work away from the city, live away from the family to make sure there was a roof over our heads. She worked way too hard for us not to succeed. And so when I had that conviction in myself, she gave me that time. And we say this one thing in our company, that you cannot afford to be a luxury player. Luxury players, they kind of take a backseat in life, or they take a backseat in the game. They'll go in, they'll shine, they'll have their moments, they'll go in for to look cool, make their fans happy for 5 minutes, and then they'll come back out and I did my part. No, when it's your life is on the line, your freedom is on the line, you cannot afford to be a luxury player. And that goes for someone who is just starting out or someone who's been in the game for a little while. Like, I needed to hear that from my brothers and my best friend a few years ago, when my company, after having generated millions of dollars, we also lost millions. And so I was like, I've done my part, I've done my bit. You guys kind of can manage the company. And no, I needed to hear, no, Abdul, you cannot afford to be a luxury player.
Yeah.
Come on. You're going to be a luxury player now? And so no, I had to come back in with that ferocity, that intensity, just like the fighter. Business is a non-physical combat sport, right? Where it's you against the competition, but it's also you against you. And if you don't give your 100%, you're not gonna get there. Like now we've launched a few different brands, over 10 companies, and I've hired operators, on every brand. And so I've worked with a few, you can say, like managers slash operator, CEOs. And there's a big difference between the 10 out of 10 fighters or people that show up 80%. The person that's going to show up at 80% might not lose you money. The one who's going to show up at 10 out of 10 is going to make you millions of dollars.
Yep.
And the one who's going to be a 7 out of 10, he's going to cost you millions of dollars. So the margin of error is so small, so you cannot not show up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the meat now, because I believe that starting a business, yes, a lot of people focus on the product and service mainly. There are others that focus then on the marketing and how to get it into, in front of their audience. But I always like to start with the mindset stuff, because people tend to forget about that.
Yeah.
But now that we've covered that, okay, so now you've created a list of 100 plus businesses. How did you decide the right business to go into?
I didn't pick any of the list.
Well, there you go.
I found a model that was working. That guy was making $30,000 a month.
All right.
And I had all these fancy ideas, and sure, some of them were good, but like I had to find a winning model. And I saw a winning model when I went to San Diego, went to that conference. I'm like, hey, if this guy can make 30K a month, I can make 30K a month. I can probably work harder. I'm probably smarter. I probably am in a more desperate situation. I have a gun to my head, basically, that he doesn't. He's a luxury player now. And that's exactly what happened. So there's so much planning. Everyone gets stuck in planning because planning is easy to do.
Right.
Asking questions and just researching is easy to do, and you never take action.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're doing something, but you're really not.
It's a dangerous place to be.
Right.
So you pick the model, like, hey, this guy's doing it, it's working. Just copy, paste, and change it like 5%, So that's kind of what I did, yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different models to do, right? But we started the show, say, somebody's watching there now,
Yeah.
wants to make their first million.
Yeah.
What is, I don't want to say the fastest way to make it sound like is get rich quick.
Yeah.
But what is the fastest way for someone, and the best business model for someone who's looking to make $1 million?
And what places me at a unique position at this is because being the eldest out of 6, and my sister didn't become an entrepreneur. She's happy with her corporate lifestyle. My brothers wanted to do that. So I not only helped myself, but I helped my brothers. And I've also helped over 10,000 entrepreneurs as well. We've helped them get into different fields. We've educated them in different business models. So very few people have the unique perspective that I've got. What happens with most people is they have some app idea, or they're like, hey, I'm going to do something I'm going to create the new Uber, but instead of cars, I'm going to I'm going to do it with watches or something, Look, those ideas, you have a higher probability of getting hit by lightning than making those software plays successful. Get to your first $1 million first, then you'll have some money to experiment with these fancy ideas. When you're not a millionaire yet, no need to be fancy. You have to find a model that works. So which models are working out there? Okay, so let's talk about some of these models out there. There's drop shipping, there's Amazon, there's TikTok. These are all e-commerce related. The issue with e-commerce is it requires zero courage. You can find a product idea, and you and a million other people can do the same thing, and it's just copy and paste. Yeah. I'm not saying people don't make money off of it. Of course, there's people out there, but the probability of success is just a little bit lower, right? Now there's these other businesses, which is I want to become an influencer, or sell a course, info product businesses, or faceless YouTuber, or sell faceless products. Again, faceless businesses don't really require much courage, so very low barriers to entry. Becoming an influencer, it's so like crowded. If you haven't developed some sort of expertise, that is also very difficult as well. Now, the business where I have found the most success, and I got everyone that I love, my family members, into starting that, it's a high ticket service business. And one of the most popular ways of doing that is setting up a marketing agency or an AI agency where you're helping business owners get more eyeballs or get more phone calls, get more money. There's 30 million plus businesses just in America alone, 30 million plus. And all of these business owners need more business. They need leads. So they might need help on creating organic content on YouTube. They might need help on Instagram. They might need help on lead generations. So they need help on like running Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads. So 30 million people need a service, and you become the person that provides this service for them. And if they get $10,000 worth of business a month, they'll happily pay you $5,000 or $3,000 a month. So that, is my long answer to the highest probability success business. This is number 2. If you have $100,000 lying around, the best business would be to buying an existing business. If you have like a few $100,000 lying around, because then you're like, hey, you know what? This IV clinic is already making $300,000 a year. I'm gonna take a small business loan, and a business that's netting $300,000 is going to sell for $1 million most likely. Right. And there's a lot of baby boomers retiring and whatnot. And you can decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to spend I'm going to buy this business for $1 million. I need $300,000 down. The rest could be financed by the bank or by the selling party. And I'll take over this business that is going to make me money. But for that, you need $300,000 lying around, which is not what most people have. So the best business model is sell a service, charge $3,000 to $5,000 a month, close an annual contract. One customer can get you to $50,000 a year. And that's life-changing money, especially if you have that money coming on the side.
Yeah, that's, a lot of people work the entire year to make $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah.
And when the tax man comes in,
yeah,
it gets sliced up pretty low. So, okay, so let's say I want to help business owners. I like that idea. We can go into so many different business models, right?
Yeah.
But let's stick with that one. But I don't know how to help them grow. I don't know how to create organic content. I don't know how to generate leads for these businesses. But I know they'll be willing to pay $3,500 to $5,000 a month. What should I do?
So right now on YouTube, there's a lot of information available. If you want to run how to run Facebook ads, if you want to run how to do Instagram ads, like that is all available. There's so many courses available as well that you can purchase for like $1,000, couple of $1,000, right? That's how kind of I started out too. So that's a good model. And starting a service business is similar to stacking your own skill set. You have to recognize, hey, you know what? If you're leaving your corporate career, you're used to someone else basically feeding you. So you have to learn to fish yourself. And one of the first skills you have to learn is could be Facebook ads, or could be in this day and age where AI is becoming a thing. A lot of business owners want to install voice AI into their business. A lot of dental clinics, a lot of, local businesses, SMBs, small businesses, they need a reception service that actually answers the phone. and they're paying their receptionist $5,000 a month, and they would rather have a software, not take any days off, work 7 days a week, for 24 hours a day, be polite every single phone call, not lose their, temper, and not call any sick days, and only cost you $2,000 a month. Right? So business, and not have to pay them benefits, not being worried about getting sued.
Medical care or child allowance
Exactly. And so this is a huge opportunity right now. And the thing with the agency business is, over time it evolves. So there's always hey, you know what? 10 years ago, people wanted Google ads. 5 years ago, people want Facebook ads. Two years ago, they wanted Instagram and TikTok campaigns. They need help on that. They need content. They need SEO. There's literally one business owner needs 5 different services. So you can specialize on what is in demand right now. And right now it is voice AI being one of them. Lead generation never goes out of flavor as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing I noticed, right? I mean, you're absolutely right. You can just either go get a book or watch YouTube and learn any skill today. But the problem is that people think in order for you to provide a service, you have to be an expert. But that's not the truth. I mean, let's put it this way. You're trying to move into this region. You're looking to move into Dubai. Now, I've been here for almost 8 years. So naturally, you're asking me, hey, where do I get this? Where's the best place to live, right? Now, am I a Dubai expert? No, because someone that's lived here 30 years knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit ahead of you, so therefore I can provide value. But obviously, so people don't understand that the local business guy who is, they might make the best pizza, or they might be the best dentist, or they might have the best law firm.
Yeah.
They're good at that.
Yeah.
But they've never done paid traffic. They don't even know how to upload a YouTube video, right? They don't even know what social media marketing is. And you might not be an expert, but you just know 30% more than them.
That's it.
And that's all you have. Right?
That's all it takes. If you have invested 3 hours of video watching on YouTube, you probably know more than the small business owner about Facebook ads or voice AI. So it just takes a little bit of asymmetric information where someone else knows a little bit more than you. That's all it takes. And I reminded myself that, Nido, when I was starting out, I just need to know a little bit more. And, you get that out. What do you call it when you feel like you're faking it till you're making it?
Imposter
syndrome. And that never goes away. The
100%.
imposter syndrome is there all the time.
Right. You've made over 100 million in sales, and I'm sure you have it. I've helped my clients make over 100 million, and I still have it. I still, whenever...
And you have to remind yourself.
And I'm like, oh, wait, do you know who you are? No. It's not easy.
Yeah. You have to, one of the things I did, especially before, is I would have a list of my accomplishments on a piece of paper, and I would just read it to myself to remind myself, what I am capable of. So that conviction in yourself goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, and I've done over $100 million in info product sales as well. And a lot of people want to jump into that, and they're like, hey, you know what? I want to sell programs, and there's big money there. Starting your agency is the first step to your first $1 million. And then after that, the greater benefit that comes is not just the cash or the freedom. The greater benefit is once you have your agency that's making some money, now you have a skill set. Now you understand marketing. Now you understand sales. You understand client communication. You know what's working in the marketplace. You have your ear to the ground. Voice AI is working. And that's where the real level up comes in, Nido. My agency, it took me about 3 years to get to about 2 million a year. And then once I stacked up my skills in 3 years, and I've got into the next opportunity with the new me, Abdul 2.0, I was able to go from 2 million a year to more than 10 million a year just by changing the opportunity.
Yeah.
So your first business has to be a high ticket service agency, in my opinion. And that's how I got my brothers. And you can do different skill set. One of my brothers, he's very extroverted and he doesn't understand marketing as well. So I got him into a sales agency, and he started helping businesses with their sales. And he developed a sales agency. Another brother, completely introverted. And, I did founder product market fit, where, product market fit is one thing, but then the skills of the founders need to match with the business.
The person market fit as well.
Yeah.
Just product, yeah.
Or founder product market fit.
Yeah.
And so my other brother, completely introverted, and I got him into a media buying agency. And then another brother, he got into affiliate marketing. And so with time, they all developed in their skill sets. And then there came a time where hey, let's become a conglomerate. Yeah. And now we have Triton Growth, where we're helping some of the biggest creators. And one of my brothers and my best friend are running the divisions there.
Yeah.
So the skill stacking has so much benefit. And we have used this to launch, 8-figure companies as well.
Yeah. So this kind of, I want to get into more about the next phase, which is I want to talk a bit more about marketing. But I just want to go back to what you just said now. See, when most people see success in a family, they become suspicious, number one. They're like, what the hell is this guy up to? I remember my mom once, she's like, listen, she really said to me, she goes, when my friends ask me what you do, I can't explain it to them. Can you just become a teacher so that I have something to say? I'm like, okay, mom, yeah, because that's what I went to school for.
Online teacher.
Online teacher. I'm like, I am kind of a teacher, but a different kind.
Interesting.
Or other people will still always remember you as, Abdul, the guy that in 4th grade was picking his nose in school. They won't see the shift, the people closest to you, but you've been able to get your brothers to buy into your vision, right? You've got them all committed to the same path that you've been on, that you've paved before them. How are you able to? Because as you know, most families are not able to do that. And even if they do that, at some point there's a conflict. Why are you getting that much? Or why am I doing all the work and you're not? There's always some chaos that starts. That makes you regret bringing them in to begin with.
Yeah. Look, demonstration beats any form of convincing. Initially with some of my brothers, I tried. They weren't listening. Until I got a nice penthouse apartment, I got a G-Wagon, and my brother, all right, tell me what I gotta do.
Okay.
So that,
as long as it's halal and illegal.
yeah, exactly. And also there was a done for you element. I'm telling everyone, you can go watch a YouTube video. It requires more effort, where they do things by themselves. With my brothers, there was a little bit of special treatment. There was a done for you element where I kind of helped them get their first client. I helped them set up their first deal and infrastructure. And so they're like, hey, I'm kind of getting my business in a box, kind of baked in. So it was much easier, which led me to my most recent venture because we taught agency business to over 10,000 people, just the agency business. And I noticed, man, so many people are just asking hey, Abdul, can you help set up the business, the agency business, the same way you helped set up your brothers. And so earlier this year, that's exactly what we did. We're like, you know what? There's so much demand for it that I'm like, you know what? Why don't we serve people in the same way I served my brothers? And so we launched a done-for-you agency setup where we set up your own agency system. We called it HalalCEOs.com. We'll set up your infrastructure, and we'll even land your first few deals like I did with my brothers. So we launched that, and first we went through over 400 people, and then we got good testimonials out of it, and I'm like, okay, now we can start talking about it.
Yeah.
People are getting good results out of it. So yeah.
So this is a business focused mainly for the Muslim market.
Yeah. So we did this for our people. I was very okay. So another reason there too, like I was very reluctant initially, but like I've been in the game for like 8 years, and every 4 years I saw people come into this market, and they like ripped them off, and I was like, bro, what's happening here? First this coin, then that coin, then like there's no coins at the end of the day, and I'm like, man, if if like people that have been in the business and have a proper professional infrastructure don't do it, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let's do this. Let's do it the right way. Otherwise, every 4 years, this is gonna keep on happening, and people are gonna get ripped off. Let's provide the highest standard. Let's have the best community events, and let's do something more purpose-driven as well.
Yeah. So here's my 2 cents on this, right? I've been in the industry. You said 8 years. I think I've been since 2006. Was that like almost 18 years, give or take?
Yeah.
I've never been more disappointed, and I don't want to say hurt, but hurt for other people, I guess, than what I've seen from those people using the name of Islam to run a business.
Yeah.
And these are people who've never made $1 before using the name of his, a halal business or halal this or, and they just lured people in. And okay, you get it, right? I mean, people get scammed all the time. People get disappointed all the time.
Yeah.
But you would never expect, people would use like the name of God and, to rip people off. And these are people that you and I know, right?
Yeah.
Almost feel like saying their name, but we'll hold it off for now. But the reason that I actually like that you're doing this is because you're a guy who says, okay, first I already made 100 million and I've proven my track record and I've done it the right way and I've built my reputation and there isn't anybody that is going to tell you that me or my company or my agency have done them wrong.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing this into the marketplace. And I think, with, like you said, with everything that's been happening, it's something, and what happened recently, there needs to be someone to restore it. And it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to take time. Because I'll be honest with you, obviously I know you, but if it was someone else that I didn't know and I saw like Islam business or halal business based on what happened before, I'd be skeptic. So what I always tell people is, don't look at the name just halal. Don't look at because it's a business from a Muslim. Look at the track record of the person first.
Yeah.
Right? Because anybody can say, they can make a video from the masjid, right, with a Quran on their hand, wearing a thobe during Ramadan, and believe it, as crazy as this might sound, they're still trying to rip you off, right?
Yes.
But if you know the person and you know their track record, this is why I'm glad that you're taking on this venture. Let's talk now about what I believe is the engine that you need to run any successful venture, and that's marketing. How have you applied, or should I say, what marketing strategies have helped you the most in getting to your first million, and how has that evolved as you scaled your business, over the years?
Which marketing strategies? I think the number one has to go to having a really solid offer. And this is exactly what we help people out with as well. You got to create like a no-brainer offer. If, let's say, you are going towards a dental niche, you have to say, hey, let's say you go with like the voice AI angle. Like, think about like the dream scenario that voice AI can fulfill for the business owner, and put that forefront in your marketing as well. And like that's kind of what we do with all of our offers as well, where let's say you can guarantee that business owner is going to save $20,000 in lost cases. So you put that as like $20,000 cases saved. I don't know if it's compliant in your agency, but like I would put that in the forefront. And then you need to run traffic. Like a lot of people say very proudly, I haven't run any ads and whatnot. Look, like I've been doing YouTube, creating YouTube videos for absolutely free over the last year. You know, like obviously my time is valuable, but like I do create organic content, not for lead generation though. It's more for conversion, you know, to create like a brand in the market basically. But you need, if you want to get eyeballs, you got to have a stellar offer, and you got to have a stellar offer with some sort of like conditional guarantee, and then you gotta run ads to that offer. Otherwise, if eyeballs don't see it, it could be a billboard in the middle of nowhere. It's not worth anything.
Yeah, I think that, look, see, the biggest mistake that I've seen a lot of business owners make is that they think marketing is just the creative aspect of it. Let's put something out there that we exist, that we've been in business for 10 years and our customers love us and people will run. No, it's people have a lot of options. And the questions that we always have is, why should I choose you over the other 50 people that are just down the street from you so that I can go to before you? And if there isn't a clear distinction, they always choose the cheapest price. And that's why, as you mentioned, right, the reason you might want to put, like in your case, the dental case, like you save in 20 case, because if you can, like if I have $1,000, I want to know if I give you this $1,000, I'm getting 10x of this money back to me, right? That's why you have to have a compelling offer.
Yes.
And my specialty, one of the things I've always focused on is the messaging, because I felt at the end of the day, okay, even if you bring a lot of traffic, but the message is wrong. You don't have the right message. You don't show how you're different. You don't show how you're more valuable than everybody else in the marketplace. You don't show how you have an amazing offer and that's risk-free, that they can give it a try.
Yeah.
You will have such an amazing edge. And the best example I can give 1,000 examples, but the best example I always give is the Domino's one, right? It's always my favorite. It's hot, fresh pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Right? I don't know if you know the whole story. Like two brothers. One brother's about to, he says, hey, I can't be in this business anymore. Like they're hemorrhaging profit money and they're about to close up. And the other brother says, okay, well, I'll give you my car and I'll take your share. Tall Money Hang, or whatever his name is. And he realized, hey, we're in a college campus. Kids here are broke. Kids usually smoke this funny thing at night that gives them something called the munchies, right? And at that point, they don't care like how the quality of any food. They just want food. They just want something. So let's find a way to create a message that's so compelling to them that we're going to outmarket, outwit, outstrategize everybody else here. And that's that message, from a struggling pizza shop to a $4 billion empire.
Amazing. See, the change in offer is everything. We've seen this in our own businesses as well. One education product, we added a guarantee where we would give, not a guarantee, a price. We said, hey, if you follow our steps and once you get your first sale, we will give you $500 in cash as a congratulatory bonus. Just like a prize money being added as part of the offer brought a lift in conversions of the webinar from like 0.9 to 1.1 on a webinar. So like for people watching it, that's the difference between doing $1 million a month in, let's say, your sales, if you're already at $1 million, to $1.2 million. But because you're making $1.2 million, you can spend more money on ads, and you can, instead of spending like, let's say $1 million on ads, now you can spend $1.5 million on ads, but you're actually making $700,000 more now that you weren't making before. So it compounds. Right. So just like these like offer differences make all the difference. Like one of my clients as well, like pays me $5,000 for like 2 phone calls, like consulting client. And I gave him, he was selling one service for $12,000. I said, hey, continue selling the $12,000 product, but just add a guarantee to it and have an upsell that, hey, My upsell is $20,000. It just comes with a guarantee. Keep your $12,000. It's already selling,
Right.
but now just offer them a guarantee. Your fulfillment stays the exact same, but they're buying certainty for an extra $8,000.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Holy smokes, I love it! You didn't
Right.
add any complexity to the business."
Right.
So there's a tip.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, it's fun. Like, you're always testing, right? See, people don't get that. Like, I've been in this business for a long time, and people call me like as if I have like this magic wand, right? And of course, some things are easy, right? Some things like, yeah, I get it. I've done it a million times. But my favorite answer has always been, brother, you got to test, right? Like,
Yes.
well, do I do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Great question. My opinion ain't gonna help you.
Yeah.
Let's test. And this is where I think top level marketers, to get to 100 million, I'm sure it wasn't like a straight path. It was boom, 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 zigzag, hitting the wall, figuring out, okay, this doesn't work. Let me try something new. Let me try something this. And eventually, as long as you have that mindset that you're willing to try and you're open to losing maybe some money in the beginning, but eventually, putting the right
Yeah.
puzzles together. And when that happens, the magic moment, there's no stopping the sales and the clients and the money that kicks into the business.
Yeah, 100%. I think later on, once you have your like first million or so, you can do so many things. And as you understand as like once you start seeing yourself as a marketer, you see that every million is a test away, really, and there's no real failure. You're learning what doesn't work, but you're getting closer to what can work. So, yeah.
Listen, I know we can go on for another hour, but before I ask
We
you
can.
my last question here, we said to make the first million, first you need the mindset. You have to take risks. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to have a sense of urgency. And without those, starting a business ain't going to be, an easy task for you. Second is learn a skill. There are millions of businesses that need help, that need support. And if you don't know the skill, you can learn it. You can go to learn from experts, or you can, watch YouTube. I mean, there's so many different ways today, right? Obviously, just depends on speed. When you work with somebody, like that's why I work with mentors and I work with people who've already done it. It accelerates the process. And then the last part is have a compelling offer. Understand your market, have the right message, and make sure that whatever it is that you're selling, it stands out, so that people flock to you when they need that product or service. Did we leave anything out? Was that?
And
anything you wanna
some
add,
of the
Nicholas?
best offers take time.
Yeah.
You can't do it, even the HalalCEO thing. We couldn't have done it like 3 years ago or
Yeah.
8 years ago when I started. It takes time to put together the best stuff. So stay in the game. The longer you stay in the game, the more money you make.
Last question. For anybody watching who's looking to pave the way for their own freedom, they might be in corporate, they might be struggling in a business, they're just trying to break through to that next level. What advice would you give them?
If don't be a luxury player. You got to do whatever it takes. Roll up the sleeves, be resourceful, roll up the sleeves to make things happen. If you're not going to be resourceful, you're just not going to get there. And the 9 to 5 is a guaranteed sentence to a life without freedom. So let's try to be the alternative. Let's get it. Don't be a luxury player.
There you go. My brother, pleasure having you. Thank you for your valuable insights. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I certainly did.